Welcome to the Budget Mom YouTube channel. I'm Kamiko Love from thebudgetmom.com, and today we're going over another real life budget. Now, our reader Arley's situation is a little bit different. She's a single mom to her 8-year-old daughter. And when Arley first gave me her budgeting information, she was actually spending more than what she makes by a little over $200. So in this video, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. Usually I show you how I organize her information using the Budget by Paycheck workbook and method. Today, we're going to be going over how I change and the recommendations and the changes I am making to make this situation work for her, to not only cover her expenses, but to also make sure that she is setting herself up for success in the future and the things that she wants to accomplish. She was also affected by COVID, the COVID pandemic. Her hours were cut for a period of time. So she was working with less hours, less income. And during that transition of waiting until her hours were brought back up to a full-time 40-hour week, she had to rely on credit cards for some of her necessity expenses. So we're going to be going through today the changes that I recommend, and with those changes is how we're going to be organizing things into the Budget by Paycheck method and some other recommendations along the way. All right, so here are the steps to the Budget by Paycheck method, and these are the steps that we're going to be going over today while we use Arley's budgeting information. So a little bit about the reader. Her why. Now, the first step in the Budget by Paycheck method is always figuring out your why, your purpose on this journey. So with Arley, her why is, I want to be able to move my daughter into our own home someday. So it's providing a specific type of future, something in their future that she wants to accomplish for her and her daughter. A little bit about her story. So this is from Arley. My financial journey has been admittedly rough. I did not get my act together until after my divorce about 4 years ago. Prior to my divorce, I was fully reliant on my ex to take care of me and my 8-year-old daughter. I did work, but it was usually part-time and for minimum wage jobs. I did not plan for any savings, and as a result, when we split, I struggled. My daughter and I moved in with my mom for about a year to help me get back on my feet. During that time, I created debt with payday loans that I was not able to pay back, and is now a delinquent account on my credit report. Thankfully, I was able to land the teaching job that I have now, and we were able to move into our own apartment with a roommate. It was at this time that I really started to buckle down on my finances and pay things off. I was able to pay off all credit cards, and when my tax returns came back, I used that money to pay ahead for my car insurance and 6 months worth of car payments. When the pandemic started, my hours got cut short at work when everything got switched to online learning, so I had to dip into my credit cards again to pay for bills, groceries, etc. My hours have gone back to a 40-hour week, so my paychecks are back to normal, thankfully. So it's a little background story of the financial picture of our reader, Arley. Now let's take a very quick look. Track and categorize your spendings. That's the second step in the Budget by Paycheck method, and we already assume that the readers are doing this and completed this step in order to give us the information that they do. Next is to identify regular bills. So let's look at that very quickly. So before we get into her regular bills, let's look at Arley's income. So she gets paid $1,088 per paycheck, and she gets paid every 2 weeks. So she got paid on this July 31st, August 14th, August 28th, and so on. She does receive child support. It's $385 a month, but it comes sporadically throughout the month. So it's literally different every single month. So what I recommend for this, because she doesn't know the date she's going to get paid during that month, I'm going to recommend that she assumes that she gets it the last day of the month. That way it can come anytime during the month, but she plans and creates that budget for it with the last day of the month. So that's her income. Now here's where we have going on for her bills and expenses. Her bills and expenses, they were high. too high. There were too many of them. Basically, her bills was eating away at what she had to use for her variable spending, her groceries, her gas. So here are my recommendations and the changes we're gonna make going forward. She has a wax membership on the first. Now keep in mind, anytime I make recommendations, anytime you start a new budgeting plan, you become aware of some of the changes you have to make in order for your budget to work right now. Does that mean it's always gonna be this way? No, these are temporary changes until we can either lower debt or other fixed expenses throughout our journey. So right now she has a wax membership for $48 a month. If it's highlighted in pink, I recommend that we get rid of it. So Amazon Prime, get rid of it. Spotify, Roblox. Now, her daughter is very close in age with my son. I'm well aware of what Roblox is. This is basically a game. So I'm gonna get rid of the $5 a month she's spending on the game. Walmart delivery. I get this, especially because we're kind of living in a new time right now, but I recommend that she takes advantage of Walmart grocery pickup rather than Walmart delivery. Save the $13 that you're spending for the Walmart delivery. It's free for the Walmart grocery pickup. There's a little more inconvenience to you that you have to get in the car and go down there, but it's worth saving us the $13 right now with the budget and expenses she has. So before we made any changes, she was spending $2,305 on her fixed monthly expenses. With the cuts that we made, we're down to $2,222. Not quite a $100 cut, but close. And if you look at her income very quickly, she's only getting paid $2,561. That includes the child support. Do you see how close she is? There's not a lot of wiggle room for financial goals or even variable expenses in her life. This is why I went through her fixed expenses and looked to where we could cut back. It's not always necessarily about making more money. It's about working with the income dollars that we have right now. And as a single mom with an 8-year-old child already working a full-time job, going out and getting a second job or producing more income is hard. So we're gonna take the easiest route and we're gonna cut expenses that we have. So those are her fixed bills. Next, the next step, the fourth step in the Budget by Paycheck method is identifying your variable expenses and your cash envelopes. Now you can see I made some changes. So she does live with her boyfriend in her new apartment. They split groceries. So what she pays is $200 a month. They also do their finances completely separate. So this is just for Arley. So Arley's groceries is $200 a month, $120 for gas, $20 allowance for her daughter, $30 a month for her cats. Now, she did have $100 a month that she was using for beauty. I'm going to recommend, out of all of her variable expenses, where I felt we could make the most progress or the biggest impact to her budget was getting rid of and dropping down the beauty. So we're gonna decrease her beauty to $50 a month. I also noticed in here there was nothing for household expenses. Household expenses being toilet paper, cleaning supplies. Now, she might include this up in her grocery portion. I know a lot of people do include their household items, such of the things that I just listed in their groceries, but I didn't know. So I'm assuming that all 200 of this is going strictly for food. $20 a month for household supplies. And I'm going to recommend that her boyfriend also pick up $20 a month for household supply, giving them a total budget of $40 every month for cleaning supplies, laundry detergent, paper towels, toilet paper, anything household related like that. So those are the changes that I'm going to make. So by doing that, we cut this beauty cost from $100 a month that's now getting split into two different categories, and we saved ourselves $30. So that's my recommendation based on the income we have to work with and the things that she wants to accomplish. Now, let's look at her savings. So she currently has nothing saved except for she does have a car savings account right now that has $1,080. She specifically set that aside to use for car payments. So we have that already saved. She wants to establish an emergency fund of $1,000. Now, what we're not showing in today's video, but something I want Arley to really keep in the forefront of her mind, is Christmas sinking fund. Now, when you have a child, you know how easy it is to overspend during these holidays. So I want her to start thinking about getting a Christmas sinking fund, even if it's just a little bit every single paycheck, to help her prepare financially for that holiday. Now let's take a look at her debt. Now I made some suggestions here as well. She's dealing with 4 different debts that are current. She has three different credit cards, an auto loan, but she's also dealing with delinquent debt. Now, if you have debt that are in collections, the reason I say to pay these off, so this is priority number 1, getting rid of these delinquent debts. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to get really excited about something when in that plan you're behind on something, if that makes sense? It's really hard to have the motivation to move forward when you have something lingering over your head. But not only that, I want her to take care of the delinquent debt because they are fairly small balances. And after looking at her financial situation, this can all be done within this year. And we can still pay off one full debt up here as well as make significant progress on the other debts. So 1, I want to take care of the delinquent debt. 2, I want to prioritize and how we're going to pay off the current debt. So the first one we're going to tackle is this Capital One MasterCard. It has 24.74%. Second is going to be the Quicksilver Capital One card, $473 balance, but 24% interest. The Credit One credit card is a very low balance. I didn't even put it as a priority because I know we can knock that out of the park within the first month of using the Budget by Paycheck method. We can get rid of this directly in August. And then the one she's going to tackle is her auto loan. Now, I am going to make a suggestion. When she starts paying off all these things, okay, and by the time she starts working intensely on paying off this auto loan, I want her to pick up the phone and I want her to make a phone call to her lender and ask for a lower interest rate. Because 12.21% seems kind of high, and I know by the time she starts tackling this, that her financial situation, her debt situation is going to be immensely better, which might open up the doors and opportunities to make this debt easier to tackle. So that's her debt picture. Now, let's organize all of this information into the Budget by Paycheck method, and let's look at August 1st. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to organize our lives onto what we call a budget calendar. This is our budget calendar. We're also going to use the highlighter method to visually organize what we're doing. Now, everything you see in green, I'm assuming she's using the paycheck and income at the end of July to cover these first expenses until she gets paid again on the 14th. Now, her paycheck on the 14th, she's going to pay everything in pink. She also gets paid again on the 28th. And remember, we're assuming she's getting that child support the last day of the month. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to combine. And what I mean by combine is either she's already received this child support somewhere in the month. Remember, because it's not a set day, she can budget when she gets her paycheck on the 28th. If she has not received the child support payment by her paycheck, her last paycheck of the month, I want her to hold that paycheck until she gets her child support and then create her budget. That way you're not creating a budget, 2 separate budgets for 2 different sources of income that can be combined. Now, here is the paycheck bill tracker that we're going to be talking about for this paycheck right here. It's the paycheck on the 14th, everything in pink, all the bills that we are paying. We also took her variable expenses. So these are the variable expenses. We divided them by 2, and we're splitting them among her 2 paychecks for the month. That's how we came up with the values here on her envelope section. So all of her bills, also, another thing to note, she's getting her paycheck income. She's also using car savings to pay for her car payment. So she's going to be using $350. And as you can see right here on her car, she has $350. So these wash out, but we have the income to pay for that car payment. So total income for the August 14th payday is $1,438. All of her bills are being paid, which equals $1,187. That leaves us $251 left over. For that $251, we're going to take care of our variable expenses. $100 for groceries, $60 for gas, $10 for allowance for her daughter, $15 for cats, $25 for beauty, and $10 for household. All of her envelopes equal $220. That gives us $31 left over. Guess what? I'm going to say that she start that emergency savings. All right, now let's look at the paycheck that she's receiving, we're assuming, on August 31st with that child support. So now we have her paycheck and her child support. When you have income coming in for the month, you know you're going to receive it, but you don't know what day. Remember to always write down the worst case scenario. When you have bills that fluctuate every single month, like your utility bill, always budget for the worst case scenario. For the bills and the due dates, your worst case scenario is you receive it the last day of the month. For fluctuating bill amounts, the worst case scenario is the highest you expect that bill to be. So with our August 31st paycheck, we have our paycheck and the child support. That equals $1,473. Now here's where things get interesting. We're going to be using these 2 paychecks to cover bills and all bills in September. Everything in blue in September we're paying with the last paycheck that we received in August. You can see it's highlighted here. All of those bills equal $1,241, what leaves us $232 left over. Once again, we're going to take care of those variable expenses, and after we do that, she's left with $12 left over. We're going to take care of that emergency fund. So we accidentally used the August paycheck bill tracker, so we changed it to September. We're looking at her September 11th paycheck, which you can see here in yellow. We know automatically, very quickly looking at her budget calendar, because we use the highlighter method, we're paying these bills with this paycheck on the 11th. So many people think that when you budget by paycheck, you have to pay the bills that are closest to that paycheck date. And that's not always the case. You just want to make sure that you are paying your bills by their due date. So we are paying the car as well as the internet, her iCloud, and her medical. We're also going to pay childcare. That's going to happen in October. We're repeating the same process that we saw in August. And then with this paycheck, we're also going to start establishing a small checking account cushion or buffer for her. The checking account cushion or buffer is very critical if you are using a zero-based budget. If every single one of your dollars is being spent somewhere in your budget, sometimes it can feel uncomfortable to bring your checking account down to zero every single month or every single paycheck. A zero-based budget does not mean that. You can still have a plan to keep a buffer in your account. It just needs to be included in your zero-based budget. So we're going to put in $43 for that to start. Once again, we're taking care of her envelopes. And this time we are knocking out one complete delinquent debt. The Plaza services that she had on her debt right here. We're knocking it out of the park. So there's one debt. Another thing, if you notice the credit card, when I was going over her two different August paychecks, the one on the 14th and the one on the 31st, we're knocking the credit one right here. These two payments with these two paychecks are going to knock off the credit one debt. Another thing to mention very quickly with her bills. Now, with her bills, Verizon, when I first saw this, I'm like, why is her Verizon bill so high? Well, she made some drastic spending choices in the past. This is paying for upgrade fees because she decided to upgrade her phone. Now that isn't a action I would have taken. However, we have to deal with that now. So her bill isn't usually $324 a month. It's just one time while she's dealing with these upgrade fees. It's also because she is still paying off an Apple Watch, an iPad that she bought for her daughter, and her phone. So if we look at the paycheck bill tracker we did with her last paycheck in August, you can see we brought that Verizon bill back to $203. Also, another thing, childcare. Her childcare expenses, for the purpose of what we're showing in the video, is $299, but that is for the summer months. When she's in school, that childcare cost actually drops to $150 a month. So she does have some changes coming up very quickly that might free up, and I say might, free up some extra room in her budget because we just don't know what some of the school districts are doing as far as what's going on with the COVID pandemic. We're not saying it's guaranteed. We're not going to show our budgets. In fact, I recommend that she keeps budgeting for the $299 a month childcare until she knows for a guarantee that it's going back to $150. Remember, we never want to budget anything that we're not sure of. It should be a guaranteed figure in our budgets. So once you get through middle of September, we're going to repeat the same process, meaning we're going to use the child care in her paycheck that she's receiving. These two paychecks always will cover these different bills for the following month. Then she's going to use this middle paycheck to cover what she needs to, but you always want to, you'll start noticing a pattern or a routine when it comes to paying your bills and what paychecks you should be using and which one works best. It might even be trial and error. Because when you're working with scenarios like this, there's literally 1 million different ways that you can do this. But that's the great thing about the flexibility of budgeting by paycheck. You get to choose what works best for you and the financial things that you want to accomplish in your life. So that is today's real life budget. But anytime you are working with, have you ever said, I get this question and this comment so many times from readers is, I'm just not making it. Until you organize everything, like that's exactly what Arley said when she sent us our information was, I'm just not making it. Until you organize out your finances in a way, make some tweaks and changes, and now she has money, extra money to pay off all of her delinquent debt, another full current debt, and half of another debt just in this month. Setting it up this way and looking at it this way. But you first have to tackle the one and most important thing, and that's your expenses. You have to go through where your dollars are going and cut out unnecessary spending. It's a temporary change until we get the ball rolling and making future progress where we have a little more wiggle room with our discretionary income to throw at the things that we want to. and the things that are important to us. If you found this video helpful, please like it and don't forget to subscribe. That's my seat. You can't sit there. You have to move. Are you gonna do the YouTube video? Period of time where she had cut hours and she had to rely